Yes, how nice to be here and that you are here and listening to me. I am very happy to be invited here and that Ellen, Lawrence and Henrik is having me.
Lars.
Lars in the coffee machine. Not to go to the coffee machine.
No. So I've been having a residency here for 1 week in January and 1 week now. And I've been working with a school nearby doing the new school project. It's like a workshop format for the school class. I will not talk so much about that. You can see what's been done if you're curious. I will talk about some of my previous art projects that I've been making for, will span almost 20 years, so I will be a bit chronologically. I will of course not talk about everything that I've been doing, but some of my main projects you will see. And I will dive into already one project that I started with almost 20 years ago. In 2007, me and my colleague Per-Arne Sträng, so we are two people, started this institution, Kanslibyrån. In Swedish, or in English, it's roughly translated to the Secretariat Bureau. So it's a kind of a nonsense word. When we started in 2007, we were both students at the Art Academy in Umeå in the north of Sweden. And we had this idea of doing this small-scale interventions in public space, or also in private spaces, but somehow challenging norms and conventions in everyday life situations, to somehow make them our own, somehow create our own logic towards these situations. So we already from the beginning had an idea that this would be like a series of small, very, very small performative interventions. So the first one we made, it was this. It was in end of 2007. It was a very, very short performative action. Per-Arne, this is my colleague that I'm working with. He performed this little action outside of the grocery store. Wait outside of the grocery store for no reason. So he stood there for 10 minutes without buying anything, without going anywhere. That's number one in the series. Here you have action number 25, manifestation against everything. It kind of sums up a little bit like how we also worked with this project, because we also found this kind of childish impulse to say no to different things as a kind of a role model. You know, we found a situation and you try to look upon it and see how can I do it in a different way or the opposite way. So this no manifestation. We stood on this is from Skellefteå. It's even further than Umeå. It's very cold up there, and we stood there for a couple of hours with this one message. This is more of a personal setting, and I'm actually number 79. Here we are also traveling with this project, so here we are already in New York, occupying a police officer's time. This is now action number 271, sneak. So with many of these actions, we're having a very strict format for how we work with them. We have a document, a digital document of all the actions we haven't performed yet. We call it the visionary archive, because they are in the future somehow. It's maybe around 2,000 like one-lines of possible assignments. And then when we go to a new place, usually in connection to an exhibition or that we will do something there, we take this list and we take out a couple of actions, maybe a list of 35, 40 things that we bring, and then we walk around in the city trying to find situations where they might fit somehow. And in the end, maybe we do 15 or 20 of this. So it's like we are boiling it down, and then we are usually documenting it like this with like a snapshot photo, and then we only usually show it like a selection. So it's like a huge possibilities that are slowly boiling down to a couple of images, like today that I'm showing you. This is another one from Riga. Buy the same groceries as the person in front of you. So you pick a person and you follow them through the store, and then you exit. Luckily, it was a person only buying 5 things. This is from Lisbon. Camouflage yourself. This is actually from here. When Ulla invited me and Perana, it was 9 years ago or something. It's many years ago. We performed this action. Buy a whole cake for yourself. Here is from Malmö. Have a paper bag over your head. And the tricky with these situations is the documentation, because you don't want the camera to be present. So we have 2 different options. It's either like you have your phone and you like take a little photo, or in this case you have like the big proper camera and you stand very, 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 very far away. So because we don't want the documentation to be, this is a situation that is supposed to take place in everyday life for everybody involved. You can read it. And here is another one. It's advertise your phone number, and there's me with my phone number, and call me. It was one guy that actually called me. It was a construction worker. He was on a construction, scaffolding, and he was calling down and asking, what are you doing? And I said, yes, call me and you will find out. And then he called me when he went off his shift. 6 hours later he called me. What were you doing? And then we had a nice conversation. About, I don't know, work really, but I don't remember. But yes. There's another one. It's Perona with climbing a mountain in his shirt and tie. And this kind of archiving and structuring that this project has been doing, because we are gathering all of we have them in the proper numbering, and we have this documentation, and this kind of sorting and organizing. Both me and Perana, we are very fond of this. We are organized people. We are not very impulsive ourselves. This kind of small-scale actions in public space, they don't come naturally to us. But so we took this kind of sorting and organizing a little bit into another project that we call kontraproduktion in Swedish, like counter-production. So we take the logic of production and apply it to like small-scale situations. So in this case, it was making one of this little sand cookies. It's in Swedish, but yeah. And then you apply the logic of like a machine or a computer somehow. And this is also from when I was on child leave, when my daughter was small, and I also had this urge, because you could never finish anything. She always broke everything you made. So I went up at 4 in the morning to make this by myself, no kids around that could destroy it. It was very satisfying. And here's the same logic. It's an organization of the nature with this fir cones. So we're trying to organize nature. So we're applying our own structure in this irrational way, you might say. This is a bit hard to see, but this is the same logic. It's a room made out of 30,000 paper clips that has been put together one by one, 30,000 times. It's like this space. And we had this idea about the putting together two paper clips. It's like like a small mem, you might say, like a small construction piece of resistance. Because if you put together two paper clips, they have a function separately. When you put them together, you destroy the function somehow. It's very hard to use them when they are put together. So it's like the basic smallest action of resistance you can make. This is what we claim, at least. And what happens then if you do it 30,000 times? We are not totally sure, but we claim that if you enter this room, you will somehow feel that this has been made. This small resistance action has been made in this multitude. And yes, then we here you see the bridge from office supplies, organization, into me and Per-Arne, we also took it into objects that you can find in the office space and trying to make them more irrational or like break the logic of the documents themselves. So here it's this. We also claim to somehow help office workers in their everyday work, now we're slowly bridging into my interest into office work, because office workers and bureaucracies, as they are in their everyday life and how they use objects, they are somehow performing political power. Our democracy is somehow made in offices in different municipalities and state agencies, etc. So here you have this object, which is the traditional, you don't see them any longer because everything is digital, but this bank pen or this ballograph pen, that usually the chain is like this long, but here the chain is 6 meters long instead. So you allow for the person using it for way more freedom, than you would originally have with this pen. Here's another object for office workers. We removed all of the unnecessary numbers. It's when you enter work and when you exit work. Here we have constructed traditional blue pens in different sizes to also allow for more freedom. In a short pen, you can fit it easier, you can have it behind your ear. A longer pen, maybe it's better for pointing at things, or you have a bit better reach. So this is more of a sculpture. Yes, from this kind of little bridge from irrationality and how this everyday situations and how you can go into the office space to create more freedom. I thought it was another. This is our latest kind of series where we also structure things, but now we're working more with the symmetries also. So we are trying to make, like, in this case, it's like symmetries with office supplies to create this. It's connected to this the room with the paper clips. How can you make this everyday objects somehow almost a bit elevate them somehow, create a holiness around them? So now we're experimenting with different symmetries. Some other images from an exhibition that we Yes. So, as I was saying, this interest in my interest in this kind of creating this alternative institution. This Kanslibyrån that you saw was one such institution. Another institution is this one, which is the Swedish Public Freedom Service. It's another project, and some of the logics are the same, but here my collaborator are another artist, Lars Noveng. And when we began collaborating, it was 2014. Lars came from he was involved in a long-term project for unemployed people in Sweden. So he had a lot of experience working with unemployed people. And in this system we had in Sweden at the time, it's not better these days, but it's different. But in 2014 it was called like the phase 3, which were where private companies could, engage unemployed people in different activities. Some of them were good. Lars was having a nice project with unemployed people, but many of them were not very good. It was it was like misuse of everyone, of resources, of people's lives. It was this crazy examples of like real examples of people, coming and painting a chair, and then somebody else comes painting over the same chair the next day. And it was not like a artwork, it was for real in Sweden just 10 years ago. That was a background for where Lars were coming from, thinking about these issues. And I came more from this kind of playful, institutional background. And together then we saw this need of criticizing the current labor politics in Sweden, which was forcing people to either mimic labor or just forcing them into labor they didn't want, or like moving across the country, moving away from the family or whatever. So this kind of very, very not encouraging people, but like punishing people basically. So we wanted to create another institution that looks like this logo is our logo. It's very similar to the Swedish logo, which is the Arbetsförmedlingen, the labor, the Swedish public employment service is the correct name of it. So we mimicked their looks, we took them very seriously, and we made this other institution that was a mirror image of the Swedish public employment service. And we began by working backwards. We didn't really have an idea from the beginning. We thought, in the same way that this organization or the whole like labor politics in Sweden works, that you say people should have a job. This is the only important thing. This is what you do. It doesn't matter. It's very unreflected of what is an employment, what is a job. This is the only like important thing. So this is what we wanted to criticize, and then we employed the same strategy without somehow knowing so much. We said everyone needs freedom. So, and we somehow wanted to make this mirror image, and so our whole site is to help people get out of labor market, how to exit the labor market. And so we have a lot of freedom permits, we have guidelines, we have different monthly structures you can do to avoid work. So we developed all of this kind of bureaucratic methods, which is very similar to how people are but we have employed them in the same way, so you could, for example, report your freedom searching to us if you were good, instead of how many jobs you searched each month if you were unemployed. So we began with the website, and it began as a digital project, but after a while we realized that, we realized that we needed some kind of physical meeting with people seeking freedom. So we began setting up these offices mostly in art spaces, in some other spaces as well. And then people could come there for a guidance towards freedom. So we had this coaching situation where people could get coached into avoiding labor and creating more freedom. But you could also interpret it a bit more widely. It could also be like, how will I feel more free in my life? So many people were engaged as coaches in different situations. And it was kind of a success in the sense that even though most people knew that they were entering an art project, when you go in, you take your little cue note, you wait for your number to be called up, you get your form, you have to fill in stuff, and somehow you're lured into like a safety system. You lured into something you recognize, like this bureaucratic, okay, and somehow people were like, art is kind of scary sometimes, performance stuff. So this kind of bureaucracy stuff felt like, okay, I can relate to this, I've done this before. So even though the questions were very different, people got somehow, and after a while, when they called up and they met their coach, and they came out with like a real, even though they went in with this idea of, would be fun. They went out with this more sincere look on their face that, maybe, something happened here for real. So, not everyone, but many people had this kind of, and I think the bureaucracy, the safety of the bureaucracy somehow helped in this. It was not an obstacle. This is Lars, my colleague, that I'm doing this project together with. This is me doing a freedom coaching session. We also had Cecilia here, Cecilia Jonasson. We had a project which we got funding for, which was a 1-year performance. The whole project was an employment. So we got money to employ one person for 80%, so 32 hours a week for 1 year, to be Sweden's most free bureaucrat. So her task was to aid us. Her whole employment was a performance work. She could, we gave her some assignments, but she could also develop her position very much herself. And she was having a lot of these coaching sessions. She became like a coaching pro, you might say, after this year. And then we all, the three of us, it's how it usually is, you think that this is a project where you will instruct somebody to do something, but suddenly we were three in the project collaborating around it. But it was a very interesting, we didn't know exactly what would happen with employing a person as an artwork, or she wasn't an artwork, but her employment was an artwork. And she has, but that's beside the point, but she has somehow, she came from a municipal bureaucracy. She was a communicator in the city of Gothenburg before, and then she was learning to our art project as an art, and now she works with art full time, not like as an artist, but with art. We also set up this inspection unit. Some years later, 1 year later, we needed to feel that we were needed to step up in taking freedom more seriously, so we started inspecting different workplaces. We were invited, so that we weren't like, we would like maybe to have being tough enough to just enter a place and start inspecting, but we were invited to the places that we inspected. Here are me performing an inspection, and then we looked at many different aspects of freedom in the workplace, like how you can use the space in different ways. Yes. And that was the last slide from the Swedish Public Freedom Service. So we have the Secretariat Bureau, the Swedish Public Freedom Service, and for the last 6 years I've been working on my own more. I'm collaborating, but not in this tight way, not like as a duo. So I had this urge to somehow maybe go into this bureaucracy, but not because all the other projects are more, they are very kind projects. So I wanted to investigate maybe some darker aspects of bureaucracy, still in a playful way, but maybe more how is like rituals and anger, maybe sadness, how is that expressed in bureaucracies and administration? One idea that was more connected to also to the physicality of objects in administration. So 6 years ago, the beginning of this project was this stamp collection, and maybe some of you saw it because I had it here at Friesland 3 years ago. My stamp collection is now almost double size. I think this is the one of the later photo. Yes, this is most of my stamp collection these days. Yes, stamps. I found them very interesting in this way, that they're not used very often anymore. They're kind of obsolete objects, but they have this kind of tendency of having power imbued into them somehow. They have been used to exercise power in different ways. And they're also able to, almost like this, almost like in religious sacred, when you transform the water into wine somehow, they are also having this quality of, when you're putting a stamp on a paper, if you have the proper authority and the proper stamp, you're transforming this paper from paper into like action, that something is happening. Somebody gets a loan from the bank, somebody gets denied a work permit, somebody is, so they are really transforming people's lives with this very, very simple action, or they used to before the digital kind of identification systems. So they're super fascinating, and they're also very, like nice, pretty objects. And I use them in many of my performances, but also and video works. Many of them also tell stories. When I buy them online, and then you get a batch, and then you have like maybe a couple of like people's own names, so you can see that this was a person working for this company. But he also had this stamp from the Social Democratic Party. Okay, so he was. You can also follow these traces of who has used the stamps. Here's also another image of the stamps.
What about the old ones when you put into some boiling lacquer?
Yeah. That's like the sigils. They are actually they're more. No, I don't really collect them. I have them. Okay. I get them by chance. But yes, they are in. They are actually more
seals.
Seals, yes. They are actually more common somehow because they are in metal. Most of them are in rubber, so they break, and the metal ones they last forever. So no, I don't really have them as much. Because many of them. It's not the same thing for me. I will collect the stamps, the ink stamps, but maybe I should grow the collection. I don't know, maybe if I have it's not on this picture, but yeah, this here you have one, for example. It's a round metal one. Yes, and this, as the stamps, they have this ritualistic quality, you might say, that they have been used in the rituals of bureaucracy. And in this project that I've been working with, this kind of umbrella project that I call the Twilight Bureaucracy, which I'm doing myself for the last couple of years, I'm working with this kind of rituals of bureaucracy. And a couple of years back, 3 years ago, I quit. I had a job at the municipality myself for a while, doing procurement of public art, which is like super careful work. So when I did this, I began doing these small paper figures. It was also part of my the last performance piece I did here. So they are like protected figures that I made out of paper from my workplace. So they are small amulets that I claim protected me from this kind of overwhelmingness of being in a bureaucracy or of administration, and also this kind of addictive, that you can be a bit like addicted to it after a while, that you somehow be lured into this. A little bit like I explained with frihetsförmedlingen, that you get lured into it, you feel it feels safe. So I wanted to be protected from this by making these little paper figures. And then they became like small characters somehow. They also, having as a proper ritual, they also need some activation. So all of them had 1 drop of my own blood on them. You can see here, to make them work. Here's where I'm working at the municipality. Here's this is the position my computer was over here. And another project is this face painting project that I'm making on existing people working in administration. It's a kind of a strength symbol for people working in bureaucracies. If you need some kind of, maybe you need to guard your inner moral compass somehow. Maybe you need some strength, and then I'm making this face paintings for different institutions. So this is Sofia. She works as an insurance investigator at the Social Insurance Agency in Sweden. Here we have Mikael. He's working for the city of Gothenburg. And then I'm using different symbols from the logos of their workplaces. I mix them into the face painting together, so that they are specific for these workplaces. Anna, she's a case officer for the County Administration Board. And this is Emanuel, he's a corporate advisor for the Swedish Public Employment Service, which is the institution that we were mimicking with the other project. This is Vibeke, she's a registrar for the Municipality Management Administration in Halmstad. This is one of the recent ones. This is made only 3 months ago. Yes, and here's another performance.
Why the face paint? That's very...
Yes, it's... no, I guess I'm connecting myself to other, face painting traditions, like a war paint, or that you need some kind of strength symbol that people can see that, I'm to be taken seriously somehow. So the example is, for example, maybe you need to get into a meeting with your boss, and you're gonna feel like, I really need to, stand up for myself this time. Then this face painting can be used, almost like you go into this meeting with an agenda. So it's like a prototype. I don't know if people actually used it, but it's up there. The concept is like open source. So if you get this face painting, you're also allowed to wear it from this moment on. But it's kind of delicate and it takes a lot of time to do, so I don't think the people actually used it, but you're allowed to. And this is another project, also more performative. It's with 10 people from the municipality of Gothenburg. They worked in different branches of the municipality, and it's an exorcism ritual. I was invited to the art hall in Gothenburg, but they are also part of the municipality, the city. They are. So I began investigating the office of the art hall and seeing what kind of problems they were having being part of the municipality. So the work was like a 25-minute, talk about how certain, almost like ghosts were present there. Somehow, I call them somehow the bureaucratic ghosts or the administrative ghosts. And then it's in this work is in Swedish. It's den nya Göteborgsandan. So it's the Gothenburg spirit. It's famous Swedish concepts because it's when the Gothenburg spirit is when the private enterprises and the municipality are good friends and make good deals. It's been like a good term, like in the 70s it was called, it's the Gothenburg spirit, it's a good thing. Eventually, of course, it's grown to be more corrupt, and these days the Gothenburg spirit is more of a, it's more of a name for corruption in the city of Gothenburg. So as this was part of the municipality, I also wanted somehow to eradicate this spirit through this exorcism ritual. So I will just show the last 3 minutes of the ritual, which is like the kind of the ceremony when we're really like pushing out the spirits. Dokumenthantering, kontokod, projektmöte. Dokumenthantering, kontokod, projektmöte. Dokumenthantering, kontokod, projektmöte. And for you who don't speak Swedish, it's document handling, account number, and project meeting. This was the words that were picked from all of this kind of research I did, and that they were boiled down to being the words that would somehow help push away this, I don't know, evil spirits. Yes, this is just a still from the performance I did here, but this was from Gothenburg. I will talk about one more project, and then I have a video, but we will see if maybe we'll have a break and we can watch the video later. But I will talk about this project first. It's Undercentralen. It's translated to like the sub-center, or like the boiler room. It's the space underneath buildings that distribute the heat to all the building. It's called in Swedish Undercentralen, but in the Swedish it has this double meaning as like under as a wonder central. There's both this very practical room that you have in a building, but it's also central for wonders. And this is the name for a project which engages around 30 people working in bureaucracies in different municipalities, state agencies, in different workplaces from different parts of Sweden. And they have been engaged in this project where they perform small intervention at their workplaces. So they are performing artistic tasks during their working hours. A little bit, I call it like a secret network or a secret society. Most of them do it, or the vast majority of them do it without any of their colleagues knowing. So they are doing this small interventions, and sometimes somebody sees something, hears something, sees something very small showing up at their workplace, but they don't know why. So it's somehow it's like this. I had this idea of something seeping out into society, some kind of creativity seeping out into different organizations. This is just like a tree, how I picture it, like being below everything. It's like coming from below, infusing this kind of creative energy into an organization. I think it's 22 assignments that have been sent out. The network, I think it's 70 people that receive the emails, but it's like 30 that have been active in the project. So like it's around 250 small-scale artworks that have been made, and they are, for example, like this: exercise 3A. Make a face mask from materials from your workplace. So this is one of these 22 assignments. And then it can be like this. Or like this. A lot of people working in municipal administrations are part of this project. And then they do this, they take a little photo, they send it to me, and I compile it, and I send it out to everybody. So they are anonymous on their workplaces, but they're also anonymous to each other, because this is how they wanted it. We had a vote in the network. They want to keep their anonymity. Most of them have aliases, not all of them. Marcus is actually Marcus, but it's many Marcuses in Sweden, so you don't really know which one. So they can interpret it in any way they want. Some more elaborate ones, or some very like simple interpretations of this assignment. This is another assignment, for example. Locate an object that is always placed in the same place in the work environment. Place it in a different location. So, like you can see here, for example. So it's a very, very simple artwork. Somebody put the stamp in the fridge, left it there, and her colleagues will wonder why. I also perceive this project, it's very playful, but I perceive it as somehow like a training exercise in this kind of dark times, because how the different branches of the state or the municipalities in this kind of the current politics we're in, they're under a lot of stress, of course. They get new directives. If you worked at the migration office, the direction is to kick more people out, no matter what. If you're working at the social insurance agency, give people less money if they're sick, this kind of area. It's a harsher environment for many of these people that works in bureaucracies. Maybe began working there because they wanted to help people or meet people or do a good thing in society, working for society. And then they found themselves in this situation, which is kind of tricky. So even though this is super playful, I consider it a form of like resistance training. So maybe you can train if you, I don't know, dare to do some little silly thing, maybe you dare something else next time. This is work in the library.
So please continue, but I have to fetch 3 shoes pizza. And I'm afraid I was quite hungry myself when I ordered them. So that probably was too much, but I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Here's another exercise. Place yourself in a confined space at work. It's very simple. We'll skip this one, I think. And the last thing I will mention is part of this project are tutorial videos that I'm making for everyone to see. They are directed to people working within an organization, but everyone can use this. So I post them not very often, but on YouTube. So it's followed this tutorial format. This is the title of one of them, How to Use Pentagrams at the Office. I will not show this one. I also have this. This is another one, Alchemy at the Workplace. It's how you can use different, your own setting around you if you have a workplace, and how to make use of it in a ritualistic way. And you can follow me on YouTube if you want to. But let's see. Elin is back in 10 minutes, so maybe we can watch a 10-minute video.
Yeah.
And we'll end there. It's Alchemy Part 1. There are 2 more parts. Yeah, you can go and refill a drink if you want to before.
Is your organization stuck in old conventional ways of organizing things? Maybe